when Batman says.
Okay, we
Right,
are,
right. Remember? You
we are now
remember?
recording.
Okay.
The both,
Oh, Mr.
we are now
Oh, we just
recording.
had him.
Welcome everybody to the Shiur on Megillah. Instead of a Parsha Shiur tonight, we're going to be doing a Shiur on the Megillah, in addition to some things about Purim itself tonight. We're going to begin the evening with a discussion of the Megillah itself. And then we'll get into some of the minhagim that have come out because of the Megillah. Let's begin. When it comes to the Megillah, Megillas Esther, when it comes to Megillas Esther, we have to be aware that the name of the Megillah is a hint to what is going on in the Megillah. The name of the Megillah is called Megillas Esther. Now, that was not her real name. Does anybody remember what her real name was?
Hadassah?
Right.
Hadassah.
Her real name was Hadassah, as is recorded in Perek Beis in the Megillah, that her real name was Hadassah. And in fact, the Gemara makes an interesting comment about the fact that she was called Hadassah because she had a greenish complexion. She was not a very, what we would call colloquially, beautiful woman. She was somewhat sallow. And her name was Hadassah. However, her name was changed because it says, Vayehi Omein es Hadassah, that Mordechai was the guardian of Hadassah. He Esther, which was also known as Esther. Now, the word Esther has its origin in 3 letters. Samach Tov Reish, which means Seiser, like Matan B'Seiser. We're going to have to mute everybody now.
Yes, yes, Rabbi. It's time.
Because there are
Too many things.
noise. Okay, now it's muted. If you want to unmute as we go along, you can. Okay. So she was known as Esther. The word Seiter means hidden. Hidden. First, we should realize the entire Megillah is a hidden manifestation of Hashem. Number 2, the characters in the Megillah, the chief character, who was Esther, hid who she really was. She did not tell. Ein Esther Magedes Moladetav Esama. Esther would not tell her nationality or who she was. Ki Mordechai tzivo oleha asher lo sagid, because Mordechai commanded that she should not tell who she was. Throughout the Megillah, until the whole thing gets turned around, she does not tell anybody who she was. So Esther is hidden in the Megillah. The miracle is a hidden miracle. And one of the challenges I presented to you last week at the end of the Shiur was, what is the miracle of Purim? If you remember, I said, think about it. What is the miracle of Purim? I'm sure many people have many suggestions of what the miracle was. One of the obvious suggestions is the way things just happened to work out. Now, the truth of the matter is, there doesn't seem to have been an open miracle because the Megillah is Megillas Esther. It's a hidden Megillah with a hidden miracle. But there is a miracle in there. And we have to be aware that since we are dealing with the story of Purim, which is post-Nevi'im. It happened after the era of the prophets. From that point on, there was no open miracle in prophecy. From this point on, everything is sort of hidden, and Esther is the beginning of that. But there's definitely some hidden message within the Megillah. We should note, and this is important, Abosai, what parsha do we read this week? We read Parshas Tetzaveh.
Tetzaveh,
right?
Tetzaveh, yeah. It's usually read before.
Always before Purim Tetzaveh, usually almost always, right?
Right.
What's missing in Parshas Tetzaveh?
Moshe's name.
There's no mention of Moshe's name in all of Parshas Tetzaveh. And yet, throughout the Parsha, you sense his presence. Like it starts out, V'ator Tetzaveh es b'nei Yisrael, you, Moshe, God's speaking directly to him. And he's saying, V'ator. And just as Moshe's name is hidden in Parshas Tetzaveh, so is Hashem's name, not mentioned in the Megillah. You do not have Hashem's name once in the Megillah, but it is hidden in the Megillah. Not only is Hashem's name hidden in the Megillah, but the miracle is hidden in the Megillah. The confluence of events is hidden in the Megillah. Now, we're all familiar with the fact that we're dealing with an Achashverosh king who's a very unusual person because, as they say, Achashverosh was the king who, because of his advisor, got rid of his queen. And then, because of his queen, got rid of his advisor. Think about it. When Vashti didn't come the way Achashverosh commanded her to come, Haman suggested that she pay with her life. And Achashverosh agreed. And later in the Megillah, his new queen suggested that his advisor should pay with his life. And sure enough, Achashverosh hung Haman. So he's the kind of king who, because of his advisor, got rid of his queen, and then because of his queen, got rid of his advisor. So we're dealing with a very unusual and unstable person. Another thing we must keep in mind throughout the Megillah. There are many times throughout the Megillah that it says, Hamelech Achashverosh. Hamelech Achashverosh, which means the king Achashverosh. But there are many times in the Megillah where it doesn't say Achashverosh. It just says Ha-Melech. And we have to think ourselves that when it says Ha-Melech, the king, it's referring to the one and only king, the Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem. Now, it's hidden, but it's there in the Megillah. We're going to see that later on. Okay. The Megillah has some other interesting points to it. And I ask you, do we have any mathematicians in the audience who are experts at figuring out probability? Well, there is a science in math called probability. And this science in math called probability, this branch of mathematics called probability, has a certain scientific value in the sense that if something is highly improbable, and that's really, really highly improbable, and there are percentages by which we can judge that. Scientific experiments. Let's say the use of an aspirin. The probability of an aspirin helping you to get rid of pain is very, very high. And the probability that it will cause any adverse reaction is extremely low. It's so low that it's considered as if there is no significant reaction whatsoever. And it's perfectly safe. And every scientific experiment that's ever done that proves a scientific principle is only accepted when the probability of its being anything but exactly what the scientists say is very, very low. And consequently, we have to ask ourselves, what was the probability when Ahasuerus is looking for a new queen in all the world, 127 provinces, which at that time spanned the entire world? And listen, let's face it, a lot of girls would like to be queen, you know? So there were almost endless numbers of people who wanted to be queen. And amongst them were the entire populace of the world. What's the probability of the king choosing Ahasuerus choosing Esther as the queen? What's that probability? If you could figure out that probability, you will come to the conclusion that by chance, it could never happen. It happened only by design. And the design is proven by the infinitesimal probability of her being chosen as queen, and yet she was, in order to be able to save the Jewish people. Let's go to the Megillah and take a look at some things in the Megillah. I'm going to take a screen share right now, and I'm going to go to this screen share. We'll be there in a moment. Okay, we are here on a screen share, and we're going to take a look. I copied a few psukim on this screen share. You all can see the screen, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Now it says the Perek and it says the Pasuk. Okay. Let's take a look at what these psukim say. Let's analyze what these psukim say. Okay. This isn't Perek Gimel. Perek Gimel is the Perek that begins Achar Hadvarim Ha'ela Gidal HaMelech Achashverosh as Haman. Don't bang too loud, please. As Haman ben Hamdasa, right? And the king made Haman a great figure amongst the people in his court. And Haman became this big, important figure in his court. Okay, so Haman is now the big shot, and he comes to the king and he says to the king, I'm going to get a little help over here that's going to enable us to see exactly where we are. Okay, all right, there we go. Okay, all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look in Perek Gimel, where Haman has this tremendous hatred for the Jewish people, and it says here, "B'chodesh harishon." This is pasuk Zayin in Perek Gimel, "B'chodesh harishon," and it mentions the name of the month. Hu chodesh Nisan. We know that the first month of the year is Nisan. The year begins Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, Av, Elul, Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev, Teves, Shivat, Adar. By the way, Nisan's the first month of the year. What's the 12th month of the year? Adar, right? Okay, follow along. In the first month, which is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year, LaMelech Achashverosh, of the reign of King Achashverosh, he peeled poor. He peeled poor. Hey, there's that word. What's he peeled poor mean? There was a lottery. A lottery. Who are Goro Lifnei Haman. That was the lottery that had Haman. Miyom liyom, from day to day, umechodesh lechodesh ne'mosar, and from month to month until the 12th month, uchodesh Adar. Okay. Point number one, you must remember. The lottery was drawn in the month of Nisan. You got it?
Yeah.
And every single month and every single day of the whole year was listed in that lottery. And Pasuk Yibe, Yud Gimel tells us, they sent out Sfarim in the hands of the runners, El Kol Medinos HaMelech, to all the Medinos of HaMelech. Remember what we said about HaMelech? Okay. And what's going to be done here? Lahashmid, Laharog, Ula-Abed. He's going to destroy, kill, totally wipe out es kol Yehudim, all the Jews, minar v'ad zokein, from young to old, taf l'nashim, babies, women, biyom echad. You're going to wipe them all out in one day. There's a Hitler, Yamach Shemai V'Zichra. There's Haman, there's a Hitler. Right? Right?
Right.
In one day, in Biyom Echad. Okay. Then it says, V'nishlach Sfarim biyad haratzim al kol medinos hamelech, and they're going to be books sent out in the hand of the king. Last week, okay, it's the same line as repeated over, made a mistake there. Biyom Echad, all on one day. We can get rid of the sentence over here, but I don't want to do it now. Okay. Biyom Echad, on one day, Bishlosha Asar L'Chodesh Neim Asar, on the 13th day of the 12th month. Okay, now let's analyze this. I'm going to have to erase this because otherwise it's going to confuse you. Okay, let's go back and get rid of the extra words that are here because boy, oh boy, I don't know how that extra word got in there. All right. Okay. All right, you'll have to bear with me. Okay, good. What day? What day is all this going to happen on? Rabosai, look at it. Now, what's Shlosha Asar? 13th.
day.
On
That's
the
today.
13th day of the 12th month, right?
Yes, today.
Shlosha Asar L'Chodesh Neim Asar. The 13th day of the 12th month. That's today,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Chodesh Adar, actually, of course, it's tomorrow, but
Yeah, right.
tonight starts.
Right.
Chodesh Adar, right?
Yeah.
And again, it's repeated. Shlosha Asar Chodesh Adar. Ushlalom Lavos. I don't know why I copied it twice, but it did it. And in fact, the whole paragraph was copied twice. This is ridiculous. Okay, anyway, so here we have what he planned to do, that they're going to send out books in the hands of the runners on the 13th day, the both side. Let's go back. When was the lottery drawn? In the month of
Nisan.
Listen.
the first month, right?
Yeah.
The lottery landed up in which month?
Adar.
Adar. How many months later?
12.
12.
12 months later, right? On what day?
13.
13th day. Okay. So on the 13th day, Sfarim went out, signed by the king, that they're going to kill all the Jews in all the communities of the king Achashverosh, which includes the whole world. They're going to wipe them all out in one day on the 13th day of the month of Adar, 12 months away. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Perikei. Here we go. Okay. Perikei. All right. Here comes Perikei. We know in Perikei, what happens is that Mordechai, I could show you the whole Megillah, but we're going to save time by reviewing it instead of seeing all the words. Mordechai says to Esther, you have to go to the king. You must go to the king. Why must you go to the king? I'll tell you why you have to go to the king. You have to go to the king because if you don't, then he might end up killing, Haman might end up killing all the Jews. Now, let me see if I can get some of the text back here. Let's see if we can get some of that text back. I don't think we're going to be able to do it because it's on a different program. Okay. Let's go to the text itself and let's see what it says. Now it says like this. Mordechai tells Esther, listen, you have to go into the king. You have to beg for the life of the Jewish people. What does Esther tell him? You all know the story. What does Esther tell him? I'm going to go into the king? Don't you know the rules? What are the rules of going into the king?
You have to make an appointment.
You got to make an appointment. How many days in advance do you have to make an appointment? It says in the Megillah, 30 days.
Okay.
You have to make an appointment 30 days in advance to go see the king. Or you can take a chance and walk in. Now, there's a guard at the gate. He's got a guillotine, okay? He's got a sword. If somebody walks in and they don't have an appointment, off with their head. You understand? So I didn't make an appointment. I need to make an appointment. I didn't make an appointment for 30 days. You have to make an appointment. I didn't make an appointment. So if I walk in, it's an awful chance. If he is happy to see me, he puts out his golden scepter and he extends it to me, and then I go in. If he doesn't do that, I get my head chopped off. So I didn't make an appointment for 30 days. What's the rush? Mordechai says to her, Al tadami b'nafshech, lehima leit beis hamelech, mikol haYehudim. Don't you think for 1 minute that because you're on the inside of the palace, when all the Jews are going to be killed, you're going to be saved? Because I want you to know, he says to Esther, your life is worthless if all the Jews' lives are worthless. So you have to go to the king. So Esther says, okay, if I got to do that, lech kenosas kol haYehudim, go gather all the Jewish people, right? Go gather all the Jewish people. Vitsumu olai, fast for me. Va'al tochlu va'al tishtu. Don't eat and no drink. Shloshes yomim laila v'yom, for 3 days and nights. Gam ani v'narosai yotzum kain. I and my handmaids, we will all do the same. Uvechein avo al hamelech. And that's the way I'm going to come to the king. V'kasher avadati avadati. And whatever happens, happens, and that's it. If I win, I win. If I don't, I don't, and that's it. My question to you right now, I'm going to ask you a serious, serious question. Listen to this question. How many days in advance do you need an appointment?
30.
30 days. The lottery is drawn in what month?
Nisan.
Nisan.
It's
Nisan. It's not going to, the day of destruction is how many months away?
12.
12 months. Okay. Can Esther make an appointment in Nisan to go into the king in 30 days?
No.
Why not?
Pesach.
So she'll go in next month after Pesach. No. So she'll go in Iyar. What about Sivan? Could she go in Sivan?
yeah.
Yeah. Could she go in Tammuz?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could she go in Av?
Yeah.
Yeah. Elul?
Mm-hmm.
Tishrei?
Yeah.
Yes.
Advent? Kislev?
Yeah.
Teves?
Mhm.
Shabbat?
Mhm.
She got 11 months she could go, no?
Right.
Right? Now, if she makes an appointment, is her life at risk?
No.
Oh,
Not at all. She made an appointment. No risk. What right does Mordechai have to tell Esther, I want you to go in now? Right today. I want you to go in right now.
He had Nevuah.
I want you to go in right now. And I want you to risk your life because we've got to get this changed immediately. What right does Mordechai have to ask Esther to risk her life?
He had bitachon in Hashem.
What?
He had bitachon in Hashem. He was God-fearing.
Listen, you can have bitachon today and tomorrow. Do you have the right to risk somebody else's life?
no.
You got the queen on the inside over there, guys. You make an appointment and you tell the same thing. You'll tell it in a month. What right do you have to risk her life? Do you hear the question?
Right.
Yes.
It's a good question, no?
Yeah.
I think it's a very good question. Did something like this ever happen in the history of the Jewish people before, where someone risked their lives when maybe if they could have accomplished even more?
No.
Yes, there is somebody else. I'll tell you who it was.
Boro.
Moshe Rabbeinu.
Moshe Rabbeinu.
Yeah. Moshe was raised where?
Midian.
No,
Egypt, Mitzrayim.
he was the
raised-
prince of Egypt. He was on the inside, no?
Right.
He was the prince. Did he know he was Jewish? 100%.
Yeah.
It says,
Of course.
"Vayigdal Moshe vayelech alechav." He went out to his brethren and he saw what's going on. And he sees one Jew hitting another. Right?
Right.
Now, before he saw that, he saw an Egyptian beating up on a Jew. Right?
Right.
What did he do to the Egyptian?
Killed him.
He killed him. Now, what else could Moshe have done in these circumstances? He's the prince. The king is going to die because he's not a young man. Moses is the prince. He's going to take over. And he's going to free the Jews because they're his brothers. Does he have a right to risk his life by killing one stupid Egyptian? He could easily take that stupid Egyptian. He's the prince, and he could make his life absolutely miserable because he hit a Jew. He could go into the court system and say, this man's a liar, he's a thief, he's a this, he's a that. He could have him taken and strung up in the morning for absolutely no reason. He doesn't do any of those things. He doesn't bide his time and wait till he becomes king. What does he do?
He runs
kills
away.
him. He kills him
Children.
and puts his life in danger.
Yeah. But then he ran away.
He ran away because his life was in danger.
Yeah.
Question: what right did Moshe have to put his life in danger and have to run away? He is on the inside. He's on the inside of the king. He's the prince. Our man is in there. Listen to all the Jews walking around Goshen. You guys don't worry. We got our guy on the inside. Imagine all the Jews in Shushan. Don't worry about a thing. Haman can't do a thing. Esther, our Schwester, is on the inside. You understand? Esther's there. She's the queen. We've got
Because you don't-
paid.
Because you don't know, you can't
Stop
just wait.
talking. Stop talking.
Oh,
He is. She's making a comment.
Yeah, okay, you can make a comment. Well, one comment you can make, it's okay.
because you can't just, if you wait, anything could happen in the meantime.
Well, the lottery is 11 months later. Nothing can happen. It's sealed with the king's seal. Nothing can happen.
Okay.
Okay. But you're not on the wrong track, by the way. Okay. All right, Abosai, here's the miracle. Here comes the miracle. There's a rule in Jewish life, and anyone who runs a kosher kitchen knows that we come up with this all the time. Let's say you have a fleshig pot, all right?
Yeah.
And by mistake, you cook milk in that pot,
Right.
right? What happens to the pot?
You have to wait 24 hours.
And then,
Then you put on hot water, right?
you have to boil it.
Boil
Right.
it. Yeah.
You dip it into hot water. Okay, you wait 24 hours.
Hmm.
You let the milk molecules die. Takes 24 hours for the molecular structure of the milk to die, so it's no longer in the pot. You wash it with soap so that the soap purges some of the milk. Then you get a big pot, you fill it with water, and you dip this pot in the big pot. And then what happens to this pot? It's back to being a kosher flavor.
You can use it again.
You can use it again, okay? This rule is called kibol o kach polto. The way you absorbed it is the way you get rid of it, right?
Right.
If it's cooked in water, you have to boil it in water to get rid of it. You have to purge it the way it entered. If it was roasted in fire, you have to use a blowtorch because it is kibolo kach polto. The way you swallow it, that's the way you purge it. That's the nature of the laws of kashrus, and that's the nature of everything in this world. The way it gets in is the way you get it out. It's amazing that when it comes to vaccines, they use the same principle. It's amazing. Almost amazing.
Right, right,
You inject the person with a little stickle of this, and
right.
that gets rid of the big one. You understand?
Yeah.
Kibolo kachpolto. The antibodies come from the thing itself. That's amazing. Hashem made the world that way. That's the way the world is. Kibolo kachpolto. Okay, Dabosai. Okay. Why did we end up with a Haman to begin with? How did that happen to the Jewish people? How did it happen that the Jewish people got in such terrible, terrible trouble? The Bosai, the first Perik in Megillas Esther, right? What did Achashverosh do?
The Kalim.
He made a party.
And all the Yidden wanted to go to be.
Wanted to go?
They wanted to be with the big shots.
Did they go?
I guess so.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did, my.
And then they had a good time on top of that.
Oh boy, not only did they have a good time, what else did they do? They ate and they drank. When you hear the Megillah tomorrow night, and it says that King Achashverosh at the party served the Kalim Shonim. And they used all kinds of different vessels. And you'll hear the Baal Koreh say, the Kalim Shonim. And he's going to say it in the tune of Eicha. You know why? Because which Kalim was Achashverosh using?
From the base of Mikdash.
The Beis HaMikdash, exactly right.
Oh,
The story takes place between the destruction of the first and the building of the second Beis HaMikdash. And sure enough, Achashverosh is giving them to drink in Beis HaMikdash Kalim, and the Jews drank.
And they didn't
And
complain.
they partied.
And they didn't complain.
And they said, when in Persia,
who was the
who have
Persian?
the Persians do?
Right.
Hey, it's the year 3400. The Bible was given in 2448. You're talking about 1500 years ago. That's old. This is new. This is hot. This is the new wave. Modern. Forget the old stuff. This is the way to go. And so they partook and got themselves in trouble. And Hashem was letting them know, you're in big trouble because you did something you never should have done. And because you did what you shouldn't have done, he's coming down on you, this Haman. And he's going to kill you all in one day. But you're going to go and you're going to do tshuva. And Esther and Moshe Rabbeinu had the same idea. Moshe Rabbeinu knew that in Egypt, and we have a chazal that says it over and over and over again, the Jews in the land of Mitzrayim were sinking to the 49th level of Summer. They were sinking lower and lower and lower. And the only way that they could get out is if they felt there's no hope except to turn to Hashem. And sure enough, when when they cried out to God, then Hashem saves them and takes them out of Egypt. Now here in Purim, in Persia, in Shushan, the same thing happened. Esther says, and let's go back, Lech kenoses kol haYehudim, go and gather all the Jews, vitzumu alai, and fast for me, va'al tochlu va'al tishtu, don't eat and don't drink, shlosha yomim, for 3 days, Laila vayom, day and night. All right, I thought it was here, but it's not here. Day and night. Gamani v'narosai yotzim came. I will fast the same way. So all the Jews fasted 3 days and 3 nights because she knew if I make an appointment to go in, they're never going to get out of this. Because if the Jews got into this by virtue of their avera of eating at the Suda, the only way they can get out of it is by turning to Hashem. And if they come back and do tshuva, the whole thing is going to all of a sudden turn around. And from this moment on, that the Jews turned around, and it says right here, it was on the third day, Esther Malchus. Esther puts on queenly clothing, and she's standing in the courtyard of the inner sanctum of the king, right facing the king, and the king is sitting on his throne. Next pasuk, it was when he sees her, Omedes b'chatzer, she's standing in the courtyard, she draws favor in his eyes. The king extends the golden scepter. Esther comes and she touches the top of the scepter. Now watch this. Watch this and see if you get it now. See if you get it. I'm going to read it slowly. See if you get it. Vayomer lo hamelech. The king says to her, Maloch Esther Amalka. What's with you, Queen Esther? Uma bakoshosech. What is your request? Ad chatzi hamalchus v'yinosen loch. I'll give you up to half the kingship. Vatomer Esther, and the queen says, here it comes, get ready, figure it out. Im al hamelech tov. If it's good by the king, watch this. Yovo hamelech v'Haman hayom. The king and Haman should come today el hamishta asher asisi lo, to the feast that I'm going to make for him. Okay, Rabbo, say who got it? Who got it?
That was a miracle in itself.
I'll read those words again. I'll read the words again. See if you can get it. I'm going to do it again. Vatomer Esther, and the queen said, Im al hamelech tov, if it's good for the king, Yavo hamelech v'Haman hayom el hamishter asher asisi lo.
Okay.
Did you get it this time?
Hamelech.
He meant Hashem.
Who is she referring to?
What, Mordechai, what'd you say?
He meant Hashem.
I say Hamelech.
I have someone here who guessed it, but let's go. Let's do it again. Yavo hamelech
Hashem.
v'Haman hayom. Do you see the first letter of each of those four words?
Oh.
What does it spell?
Hashem.
K Vav K.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, there it is.
That's what Mordechai said that.
Yavo Amelech v'Haman hayom.
You came.
Hashem himself, I want him to come to the party I'm going to make for him. And Esther specifically used those words because she knew the only way the Jews could be saved if HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself comes to the party. You got it?
Yeah.
Achashverosh didn't have that?
It didn't help him. Wouldn't make a difference. Now, there's a lot more.
There.
It's me, it's Karen.
There's a lot more. So listen carefully.
It's found a letter.
You got to mute again, excuse me.
Wait, I'll mute it. I'll mute it.
Okay.
The king and Haman should come today, and this is Yud Kei Vav Kei, who should accompany. And sure enough, Hashem is coming with them to the party. That's what's happening. Hashem is coming with them to the party. Okay. Now, what I've done here now is I've highlighted, I've highlighted the entire Megillah, all right? And now I'm going to show you something. In Perikei, this is where it is, right? Esther says, Yovo HaMelech v'Haman Hayom. Here are those four words once again. Yovo HaMelech v'Haman Hayom. Haman and the king should come this day to the party. Sure enough, right in the next Perik, look what it says. And since I've been a kid, when I read the Megillah, I read these few words with a very interesting tune, because it says, "Balayla hahu nadadosh nas hamelech." On that night, the sleep of the king was interrupted. Balayla hahu nadadosh nas
Gosh.
hamelech.
Lullaby.
Yeah, Brahms lullaby.
That night, the king couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
So he tells to bring the Sefer HaZichronos. Now here comes one of the ironies of the hidden hand of Hashem. Sure enough, they take out the book, they're reading in the book, about Mordechai told about Big Son and Seresh, that they plotted to kill the king, and Mordechai told the king. So the king says, what happened that was great to Mordechai over this? So they said nothing happened. He wasn't given anything. At that point, amazingly, Vayomer Amelech mi bechotzer. Hey, who's there out in the courtyard? The Haman ba. Sure enough, Haman's coming to tell the king, Lislo says Mordechai ala eitz, to hang him up on the tree. So they said, it's Haman out there. So the king says, Yavo, let him come. This is one of those times where everybody hits that Haman's name. Vayavo Haman, right? He comes in just at that moment. So the king says to him, hey, listen, what should the king do for somebody who wants to show favor? So Haman says to his heart. Now here is the midah, the attribute of characteristic that is so prevalent amongst those who go against Hashem. Haughtiness, conceit, me. And Haman says, come on, who would the king want to give favor more than me? And so Haman says, I'll tell you what, the man that the king wants to show favor to, bring royal clothes, bring the royal horse, put the crown on his head, give the horse and the clothing to one of the king's servants, and dress up that other man and ride him in the middle of the city, and Karu Lefana read before him and say, this is what you do to the person that Hashem, that the king wants to show his favor. So the king says to Haman, Maher, hurry up, get the garments, the horse, everything you said, and do it to Mordechai. Rabosai. Don't you see how the turnabout is taking place instantaneously? When did the turnabout begin? It began from the time that Esther risked her life. The miracle of Purim is encapsulated in the tshuva that Esther did, and the whole scenario gets reversed. And instead of being a debacle, it becomes a day of rejoicing and happiness for the Jewish people. Okay. We just completed the miracle part that I wanted to mention, but there's more. So don't go away. We're going to stop this share, and we're going to now go to another interesting share, which we're going to take right now. I want to show you a piece of Gemara in Masechta Megillah. People are very familiar with this piece of Gemara. All right, here it comes. All right, let me get my magic wand back. Hold on 1 second. Here it is. Let me get my little red. Okay, here we go. Okay, here it is. Okay. Omar Rava. There's the Megillah Daf Zayin Amud Beis, for those who want to look it up. Omar Rava. Rava said, Mechayev Inish, people are required, Lebesume Bepuraya, to become mevusam. The word mevusam means you're going to become spiced up. Bisamim. Right? Like we make a bracha bore minei bisamim. So levesume bepurim means you're going to get all spiced up on Purim, and it's taken to mean you're going to drink on Purim. Ad delo yada, until you don't know, Bain or Haman lebarach Mordechai. Until you don't know the difference between cursed is Haman and blessed is Mordechai. Okay? The Gemara is now going to tell us a famous story, which I'm going to explain in a few moments. Don't get shocked by what we're about to hear. Rabba and Rabbi Zera, Rabba and Rabbi Zera, Avdu Seudas Purim Bahadei Adadi. They got together and they had the Seuda of Purim together. Ivsum, they got drunk. Come Rabba got up, Shachte Rabbi Zera, and he shechted Rabbi Zera. He killed him. Lemachar, the next day, Ba'i Rachme, he realized he killed him. So he prayed for mercy. V'achye. And Rabbi Zera came back to life. Okay, so it doesn't end so bad. In the middle of the Suda, Rabbah kills Rabbi Zera. By the next morning, they woke up and realized what happened. So Rabbah goes and davens to Hashem, and he brings him back to life. Great. Lishana, next year, Amalei, he said to him again, he said, you know what? Let's have another one this year. Yeah? Amalei. So Rabbi Zera said, I'll take a rain check. Not always does a miracle happen. You make your own Suda. I'll make mine. Thank you, but no thank you. Okay. Very famous story. Of course, this is not to be taken literally for the very simple reason that it's a metaphor for how dangerous it can be for someone to get drunk, because that's not what Rava meant at all. I want to show you something. Take a look at this. Rava originally said, Amar Rava, Mechayev inish lebesume bepurim. Now, we translated that to mean a person is required to drink on Purim. But look, it doesn't really say that. It doesn't really say that. What's the word? First of all, instead of chayev, it says mechayev, right? That's number one, right? It doesn't say chayev. It says michayev. Number two, inish. It could have, if it meant drink, it could have said lishtos. Mechayev inish lishtos bepuria. A person is required to drink on Purim until he doesn't know. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say yechayev to drink. It says yechayev to be rejoicing, to be spiced up. I want you to know that there are Mefarshim that explain the meaning of this word totally different from the way it's been taken to mean as an excuse for inebriation. And all of the rabbis, from the Mechaber and the Shulchan Aruch, to the Ramah, to the Chafetz Chaim and the Biur Halacha, to the Aruch HaShulchan, came out and said, it is wrong for a Jew to be drunk. Because if a Jew gets drunk, he's going to ignore the performance of commandments. You're going to hurt somebody. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to forget to bench. You're going to forget to wash. You're going to forget to daven. You're going to make a chilul Hashem. It doesn't mean this at all. Here's what it means, and watch. According to some opinions, this means me chayev. It's a question. Mi chayev inish libisume beporia adalo yada. Is a person supposed to get so drunk to the point where he doesn't know Bain Oror Haman Lebaruch Mordechai? Is a person supposed to get that drunk? Absolutely not. I'll prove it to you. Rabbi and Rabbi Zera were eating the Suda together, and he killed him. Now, he didn't literally kill him, but it's bad enough. He went into a deep faint, a drunken stupor, which could kill. So it's a mistake to say you have to get drunk. The Rambam, when he quotes this halacha, he says a person should drink just a little bit more than he's used to. At the meal, he will fall asleep. And when you sleep, you don't know the difference between Oror Haman and Baruch Mordechai. The Aruch HaShulchan quotes a number of other explanations of this particular statement. And he says it means like this. Let me ask you that both sides. Do we have any mathematicians amongst us? We asked that before. All right, no pencil, no paper. All right? No pencil, no paper.
Calculator?
I want you to calculate in your mind. No calculators, no. I want you to figure out in your mind. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, no more. I'm going to give you 15 seconds. 30 is too much. I'm going to give you 15 seconds.
Okay.
All right? To calculate the gematria of Oror Haman and the gematria of Baruch Mordechai. Go.
502.
Oh, Mordechai, you didn't have to do that.
I remember.
Killjoy. Okay.
Right.
All right. Both sides. If you figure out the gematria of Oror Haman, and then you figure out the gematria of Baruch Mordechai, go do it on paper. Tell me the difference between them. And the answer is?
No difference.
There's no
Difference. Zero.
Zero difference. They both equal 502. No difference at all. In your head, you couldn't do that if you just had a little bit of wine. You can't even do it without wine. Certainly with a little bit of wine. That's one that says you're not supposed to know the difference between Oror Haman and Baruch Mordechai. There is another difference. In Shoshanas Yaakov, the famous paragraph that we say after the Megillah, Shoshanas Yaakov Tzahol v'Samecha, Berosam Yachat Chelas Mordechai, right? Oror Haman Asher Bikesh La'abdi. Baruch Mordechai HaYehudi. What's between Oror Haman and Baruch Mordechai? 3 words. Asher Bikesh La'abdi. Oror Haman Asher Bikesh La'abdi. Baruch Mordechai HaYehudi. The 3 words in between Oror Haman and Baruch Mordechai are Asher Bikesh La'abdi. Rashi Tevos. The first letter. Aleph, Beis, Lamed. Ovel.
Uh-huh.
An ovel. What's an ovel?
Mourner.
A mourner. Why were the Jews mourning in Mordechai's lifetime? Why were they mourning?
They were going to be killed.
No. In addition, why were they mourning before the plot of Haman? Why were they mourning? When did this take place?
The Beis HaMikdash.
Right. The Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. They were mourning over the Beis HaMikdash. Right? Says, I believe it's the Vilna Gaon who says that you're never supposed to forget the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. But you have to mention it even before the Seudah on Purim. Because once the Seudah begins, You won't know the difference between Oror Haman and Baruch Mordechai. You'll forget Asher Bikesh La'abdi. You'll forget the Avelus that we're supposed to be in because you're so happy over the Seudas Purim and the victory of the righteous over the wicked, that you'll forget that we're still in Galus and that the Beis Hamikdash needs to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
So therefore, along came Rava and he said, Mechayev inish lebesume bepuria. A person is required to enjoy Purim until he doesn't know the words that come between Oror Haman and Baruch Mordechai. But make sure before he even gets to that point that he remembers the Beis Hamikdash. Al Rosh Simchasi. One more thing, just one more thing. Okay. The truth of the matter is, we should be enjoying the Purim without any drink whatsoever, because the statement here says, Mechayev inish, a person is required, lebisume b'puraya. You should be inebriated with Purim. You should be inebriated and happy because of the miracle of Purim. The miracle of Purim was so awesome. The miracle of the saving of the Jewish people is so great that just thinking about Hashem's hand in history should enable you to be walking around in a state of ecstasy and happiness. Chayev inish l'mesume bepuria. A person is supposed to be happy with the Purim itself, not necessarily by inebriating drink and getting yourself chas v'shalom to do any avera. We should be beginning to understand, to enjoy Purim itself. I want to tell you that I was once walking. I don't remember now whether it was on Simchas Torah or it was on Purim. I know it was one of those 2 days. But I was walking from the yeshiva to Feres Yerushalayim together with Reb David Feinstein, Zechreinu Livracha. I was standing right next to him. And one of the boys on the other side of him said, Rebbe, I saw you took a drink. But if we're supposed to be happy, we should be happy without the drink. Why did you take a drink? And Reb David, in his own inimitable fashion, answered and said, sometimes a person's inhibitions get in the way and they don't allow you to let loose and enjoy the Yom Tov. So if you have a little bit to take the edge off the inhibitions, maybe you'll enjoy the Yom Tov a little more. But if you could actually get to the point of Simcha without drinking, then you should. And Reb David, in his own inimitable fashion, of course, was very happy on the Yom Tov itself. Rabosai, I think what we did tonight is a beautiful indication of what there is to learn in the Megillah. There's a lot more going on. We scratched the surface. We gave a beautiful explanation. Many members of Chazal have given this explanation. You can find it in the beautiful sefer by the Malbim called Turnabout, V'nahapochu. Also, Shiurim by Rav Mordechai Miller, Zechreinu Livracha, from the Gateshead Yeshiva. There are many, many other sources for this particular shiur that we had tonight. And it's good for us to think about all the miracles that take place in a natural way, that we don't even have any awareness of the Yad Hashem constantly in our midst. Hashem is always in our midst, and he's giving us many, many opportunities to see the hand of God in small events that take big slices of history and make them understandable. And Purim is just that. And the miracles are something that give us a sense of Hashem's watching over us. And though he may be hidden, Yavo HaMelech v'Haman Hayom, though he may be hidden, he's always there. And the Jewish people can rely on him all the time.
Amen.
Yehudim hoysa ora v'simcha v'sasam v'yikar kain
Yeah,
yiyel lanu.
wonderful.
So
Amen.
should it be for us. Want to wish everybody
Amen.
a wonderful Simchas Purim. Have a
Amen.
great Yom Tov. Enjoy the Yom Tov. Stay safe. And I've advised our community, give the minimum of shalach manas, give the maximum of tzedakah. You can go on our website to donate to the shul. It's a vital, crucial tzedakah, and it's really worthwhile. It helps continue all these shiurim and more. And give to the website, and give also Matanas Lev Yonim, also on our website. You can do that by yibeth.org. And I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I wish you all a wonderful Simchas Purim.
Thank you.
We should be Zoche, just like Mordechai had a Geula in his time. We should see the Geula speedily in our
Amen.
time. Good night.
Amen. Good night, Rabbi. Yasher
Amen.
Koyach.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're
Beautiful.
welcome. You're welcome.
Beautiful.
You're welcome.
Very nice.
You're welcome.